JJ, first, what did you kind of make of the various different spurts that LeBron led? To just kind of, you've seen it before, but what did he give you tonight?
Yeah, that is the word I used in the locker room after the game with the guys. Thought his leadership all day long, in the meeting, in the walkthrough this morning, just the way he carried himself, just he really set the tone for the team. The guys followed that. Obviously, the play was fantastic, the offensive efficiency, and then the full complete game with the assists and the rebounds and steals and blocks. Just a terrific game from him.
And then, what are your thoughts on a player like Kennard, who, if he's not on a team that you might watch every night, you might think of him as a shooter, but there's so much more there, right, over his life of being not you, but a fan, right? Like, can you speak to that as to how much of just basketball is in a lot of players like that, kind of typified by him? Yeah,
I mean, it's easy because he's a white guy that shoots threes to just think he's just a shooter. That's just the reality of the situation. I'm sure every time he, checked into an AAU tournament in 8th grade, everybody screamed, "Shooter, shooter, shooter." That's the life we have. That's the life we chose. I watched him a ton at Duke and, got to know him during the pre-draft process. Had a couple phone calls with him, just talking through things, and competed against him. So, I've known for a long time that there's a lot to his game and there's a lot he can do as a basketball player, primarily as a playmaker. I mean, he really does such a good job of using his shooting as a threat, using his change of speed and pace as a threat, and then just consistently makes the right play.
JJ, pregame you mentioned the word empathy and kind of the way you were looking at your team. I know after the last game it was sort of like, we want to find 9 guys that'll fight and be all in and stuff like that. I guess just what did you think building-wise today as far as like starting over in some ways did you like about this game, and did you sense like a foot forwards, I guess, if that's the right word, or a step forwards from your team tonight?
Well, I told the guys before the game, when we met right before they went out for warm-ups, tonight was a spirit game for all of us, to have the right spirit, to be all in. And I thought we did that. And I would say I'm not surprised because we have, been on hikes all season long and gotten lost in the woods, and nobody thinks we're going to be rescued. And we find a path and we get back to the meadow and find civilization. We're going to be okay. That's what our group is, and I think we've all just embraced that, and we just have to find it now with this group. And tonight was a step in finding that path with this group.
Good use of civilization.
Thank you. I get words to use from the coaching staff to use in the.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So that was clocked out. Check one.
You told us the other day that after the OKC loss and the injuries, seeding's probably out the window, but by virtue of winning tonight, the 3 is still a possibility for you guys. How are you going to approach tomorrow, second night of the back-to-back?
Like we approach every back-to-backs. I know it's. I wish I could give you a better answer than that. We're going to go try and win the game, and hopefully we have a couple guys back. Hopefully, I mean, again, they're still going to be day to day, and hopefully LeBron will be available. I know, in talking to him today and overhearing some conversations with Mike, we're very, we're hopeful. It just, we don't know how he's going to wake up tomorrow. That's just the reality of where we're at with his career.
Do you know what's going on with his hand after that chase down block?
I have not gotten an update on that. I assume he hit it on the backboard trying to get it, and I'm not sure what happened with Luke's hand either.
JJ, you had mentioned after the game on Tuesday that you hadn't been able to get DA the looks that he wanted. You were trying, but it wasn't working. There was a shot very early in the game, mid-range jumper, and it seemed like since then he just continued to battle tonight. Yeah. What did you see from him out there today? Yeah, well, he played fantastic. The third quarter, he was just dominant, and a lot of that, was very targeted because we were playing through the post, and Draymond, was going to overhelp, and DA had his proper spacing, and that touch shot for him at 8 to 10 feet it's just a high efficiency shot for him. But I thought he
I thought he played fantastic throughout the game, but the third quarter he was dominant for us.
JJ, just
Another one?
back up to what Dave asked. Pit of your stomach though when you see LeBron kind of grab his hand like that. I mean, like, is there any feeling of anxiety or anything like that in that 30 to 60 seconds until like you get the kind of like I'm gonna be all right?
I turned my Amazon Prime mic off for about 30 seconds. My front pocket.
I walked in while you were talking about Luke, so sorry if this was asked or mentioned, but we've talked about normally when guys get injured, you may not ask them to do a different role. He's had to just...
He's had to do more than everybody else, yeah.
Can you, I guess, give context to like how challenging that is, not just for him, but any player when this deep into his season, I think it's also forgotten, like, he's on a different team than he started the season with, like, context is just how challenging that is and makes it more impressive that he's done what he's done.
Yeah. And I wasn't around him as a teammate or a coach, but he's been traded. He's been to different places. So I don't know if that steadiness that he has. He's just naturally steady as a player, as a person, and I don't know if that was developed because of the nature of or the course of his NBA career, but it's something that is really beneficial for our group. He's a professional. He comes to work. He's a great teammate. He does what the team asks him to do. There was a stretch where he played 15 to 18 minutes. Then it was 24 minutes. And then, he just, no matter what you sort of give him, he'll embrace it. And he obviously has played extremely well for us in that role so far.
Hey, JJ. Sorry. Go ahead.
Obviously, LeBron's role has greatly changed as of late. When you talk about showing that fight, when you see a guy like LeBron, age 41, still showing that fight, everybody else kind of has to follow. What was his message in the meeting that you kind of alluded to earlier?
The way that he approached, our meeting was great, and then his in our walkthrough, just his command. With his group of making sure every rep we got was correct. It just set the tone for the day.
Hey, JJ. Jake led the team with a plus 29. Finally got his three-pointers to go. Was 4 for 5.
Yeah.
What did you see from him tonight in terms of being able to match what's needed against a team like the Warriors that can bring a physicality on the defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's, I think, along with Smart, has been our most consistent defender for the last, 3-4 months. I think, going back to, I can't remember the exact game, but sometime in December, like he's just been very consistent on that end. He's the most consistent crasher we have at the wing position. He's disruptive both with his physicality and with his hands, getting deflection, steals, whatnot, and he also is able to really just execute our defensive coverages at a really high level. Again, him and Smart do that as well as anybody on our team. Look, we have confidence in his shooting. He works on his shooting. He's with Bo every day in the gym, getting those corner threes up. So it's a matter of time, and tonight was a great game for him and a great step.
Coach, how different is your game plan with LeBron as the first option versus him being in that tertiary role where he can really help out with everything else going on?
Game plans are matchup dependent. Again, with what we're where can we create advantages. So felt like going to our 88 action early, getting him in the post, seeing what Draymond was going to do as the help defender. Got some good stuff out of that. Obviously in transition, he's been great. There's nothing we're asking him to do that we weren't asking him to do 2 weeks ago. It's just at a higher volume in terms of, playing through the post, being a screener, mixing in some pick and roll, and then mixing in off-ball stuff.